Hello and welcome to this introduction to Aedon.Accounting. This video is focused on what you get out of the box. This is the vanilla Aedon.Accounting. Now we're going to focus on your daily, weekly, monthly and yearly processes because that's what we all do as accountants. As part of the implementation configuration, we would expect you to change the chart of accounts, the analysis codes and the products. And of course, you'll want to do approval flows for purchase orders and purchase invoices, and perhaps our credit chasing flow. You will certainly change the dashboards and reports, and they may add custom fields and objects. There are also several integrations that you may want to take advantage of. And we have several interesting AI tools. I won't go into those in detail now. We have separate videos about those, and there are more coming in September with the new Salesforce release. Very exciting. Okay, so that's enough of me. Let's get started on the product. So Aedon is organized into different modules, and you can see these along the top of the screen. We have banking, sales, purchases, journals, admin, and the setup module. This is kind of typical of how they're organized. Within the module, there are different menu options along here. This is a dashboard which is entirely configurable. You can see here these graphs will change by date and company. And on the right-hand side, we have tasks and events which can be integrated with your Outlook or Gmail. This is a multi-company instance, so you can switch company here. We have 3 companies in this org, Nightingale Irish, Northern Ireland, Nightingale Irish, and the UK. We're going to stick with the UK here, but if you wanted to switch, this is where you do it. And all that is kept in the same org for simplicity. So let's start off by having a look at the bank accounts themselves, which is the part of our daily processes. And we're going to look at the NatWest bank account. And of course, we're going to do the bank reconciliation, the fundamental cornerstone of all our financial controls. Now, looking at this account here, in the top here, you can see we have 29 unreconciled bank feeds and 28 unreconciled ledger entries. So plenty of work to do. We have the details of the bank here. These can be filled in according to your details. And let's just have a look at the bank feeds here. So the bank feeds is what's coming in from the bank. This is truth. So this is normally updated once a day, although that can be changed if you wish. And you can see here which ones have been reconciled and which have not been reconciled. And there's filters on here to allow you to filter these if, for example, you've misallocated a payment or something like that. It happens to the best of us. We also have a similar feature for ledger entries. And here we have from the ledger entry side, this is what's in your nominal ledger, the entries that you've made and the unreconciled ones here. So let's start with the reconciliation itself. The reconciliation is kind of, as I say, one of the most important jobs that we do every day. So at the top here, we have that header that we looked at. And again, we've got the filters. I'm going to start off by looking at the matched items. So when you start the process, you refresh the match to make sure that will happen overnight. But if you've added new items, you can refresh the match. I've filtered it now. So we've got the different matches have taken place here. Now, on the left-hand side is the bank feed. That's truth. That's come from the bank. And on the right-hand side, you've got the ledger entries, which is what we're trying to match to. And you can see that there are 3 different types of match, and you do them in this sequence, very important. So the first match that you do is match to payment. So here we have a purchase payment from hydro pump repairs. The text looks like that matches. So yes, we'll make that match to payment. The second match, let's just finish that one. The second match that happens is a match to a purchase invoice. And here we've got an open purchase invoice, and we paid pure water filters. And again, that looks realistic and sensible. So we can click the match to invoice. Now that's going to create a payment transaction. as well as marking it as reconciled. And finally, we have match to rule, and these are very easy to set up. In these, you've got conditions here, so we match the fact that it's CHD, the fact that there's bank charges in it, and we can put a limit on the amount of the match. And here we've got a match to the bank charges, and this will automatically create a posting to the bank charges. So that's all I wanted to show you on the bank for the moment. Let's move on to purchases. A similar layer on the purchase scenario with the home page again. Outstanding purchase invoices, credits, payments on account, etc. Those are the things that you've chosen to put in there. We're going to create a purchase order. So let's create a purchase order here. We click new. So the first thing we do is we add the order date. And I'm going to make the order date the 1st of February. This will become clear in a moment. And it's going to be due at the end of February. We're going to use 360 Learning, and we're going to put this in the UK Nightingale, and this is going to be for staff training. And we save that. Now that creates a header. So here we have all the details that have been brought in from the account. There's credit control information, which might be useful further down the track, but we don't need that at the moment. And what you can see here that this is defaulted in the details, the default product for this supplier, staff training with the VAT code and the nominal code. I wouldn't remember necessarily it was P0, 0 VAT. We just need to change the quantity and the price. So we're going to put 12 months worth of subscription training for £100 a month. Save that. So we've now created a purchase order. We can now email that off to the supplier and they send in their invoice, so we can convert this into a purchase invoice. So now our invoice or order has been converted into PI 0031. So let's just find that. We'll jump straight to that. One of the nicest features in Salesforce is you can jump straight to things. And here we are on our purchase invoice. So the invoice date, we're going to change the date actually to the 7th of February, which is actually when the subscription starts, or actually 8th of February when the subscription starts. So we'll just change that. And all the other details look okay, so we'll save that. And then we will post it. So it's only when it's posted that it creates the ledger entries, in this instance, debit staff training expense, credit accounts payable. Now we want to spread this expense across the year. And for that, we want to use expense recognition. So the pattern we're going to use is for different first and last. We've got 21 days in the first month, 7 days in the last month, and 11 regular payments. So let's choose that pattern. The first recognition date would be the 28th of February. And the first recognition amount is going to be 3/4, 75. The last recognition date is going to be 28th of February 2027. Fingers and toes are very helpful when you're doing these calculations, I find. And that's going to be £25. Might have done this before. Next. And now we've got those two dates in, so we can see those here. The first regular recognition date will therefore be the 31st of March. Frequency is monthly. There'll be 11 of them. And those will be for £100 each. Now, it will check your mathematics. So if you get it wrong, and I often do, I'm afraid, it'll correct you there. So you can just tweak the numbers until you get them right. So this is our Salesforce training spread across the year. And next. And this now creates a schedule of journals into the future. And we can see that here. So this is created this expense schedule here. These are the details in the header. And these are the future journals. Now, they're in a draft status at the moment. Those would normally be picked up in an overnight job, but if we want to run them now, we can. There's run schedule. So we can just invoke that now, get that little message. And this is now creating the manual journals that we need. And it's brought them up to date. So this video was made in August. So it's posted all the journals up until August. So we've got the first journal there, and then the subsequent recognition journals here, each for £100, which is really fantastic. So let's go back to our purchase invoice. We'll pay it, and it was due at the end of February. Put that from our bank account. We'll just put that a February payment, and we'll pay that in full. Now, a really handy feature on Aedon that's available for all the transactions is a payment and audit history. So here we can see what's happened to this transaction. So we've got the payment history at the top here. So we can see the payments, when it was made, what bank accounts been made out of. And we can also see all the activity that we've done. Now, this is the activity. So this is what's been created, what's been posted, etc. So that's all very useful information. And then if you're checking back and looking into something when you might have had a problem, and this is all the ledger entries, and those happen in reverse order. So we've got the original purchase invoice. When we create the deferred expense, it's reversed, and then it's released £75 in that first month, and then £100 a month thereafter, up until where we are at the moment. So a really, really nice, clear audit trail on what's happened in any transaction. So let's move now on to sales. Now, sales are created in exactly the same sort of way, but just to illustrate, what I'd like to do here is create a recurring sales invoice, because again, we often have those to do. So let's create a new one of those. Very similar process, but we're in a flow here. So we're going to choose an account here. Let's do it for platform clinical research. And we're just going to create a straightforward equal invoice here. We can create them in draft or finished. We're going to have them as finished invoices. Again, the details come up here. The first regular date for this invoice, let's make it the first regular invoice date is we're going to make it the first of the month. Last regular recurring date, 1st of August 26. Let's make it the end of the year. The posted frequency, we won't actually want to post those on the 31st to recognize the income on the 31st for the journal. The invoice is posted, and actually that's posted on the same day. Let's do that on the first day. Here we've got the currency, the pound sterling. This has all come through. Payment method can be blank. We could put a reference in there. So let's put their PO reference. And there's no default product here. We don't know what we're going to put these guys. So we're just going to sell them stuff. And we're going to send them 12 of them, and we're going to sell them at £55 each. And the nominal code for those is going to be 1,000, which is cleaning income. And let's make it our standard tax rate here, which is S1. Make it standard tax rate, 660. That all looks okay. So let me just check that, and then I press next. So that has created a recurring schedule like that, and I can activate that schedule now. And that does a very similar thing. It creates a schedule of recurring invoices, which looks remarkably similar to the journals that we saw earlier. Now, while we're on sales, as well as the home page here, we also have a very useful aged AR report, which I'd just like to show you. This is as of today's date. This gives you the aging for any of our customers who have outstanding debts with us. So if we just take a look at Medicore here, they look quite interesting with a different aging. And if we click on here, we get the detail. And there's another report you might have noticed, which also shows the activity, the payments and so forth. This just shows the outstanding invoices. So a very useful report. And one of the things that we're keen on in Aedon is you can export this to Excel should you wish to do further analysis. The next thing I'd like to show you is journals. So on the journal page, we have two types of journals. We have manual journals, which go onto the actual layer, and then we have budget journals. And the interesting thing about budget journals is they can go onto different layers. So when you create a budget layer, budget journal, and let's just show you how you do that process. Here, when you choose the layer, you've got lots of different layers that you can choose, and these are entirely customizable to you. And you can use them for forecasts and goals. If it were a sales target, which might be different than your plan target or your 5-year target, but you can also use this layer for capturing non-financial KPIs and so forth. And they go in exactly the same way as a normal manual journal. Debits and credits must match. Normally use a suspense account for the other side of it if you're just doing a P&L type budget. But you can do a complete one if you want to. So those are the two different types of journals. Very useful. So back onto the journal's homepage, I'd like to just check my control accounts. Now these are all showing 0 apart from one, wages payable, which has a balance on it. So I want to try and reconcile that and just see what's going on in that. So let's have a look for the wages payable account. I can jump to it again. Wages payable nominal code. So I jump to that nominal code here, and on here I've got the details of that. I've got related here. I've got history of that, and I've got all the ledger entries posted to it. But what I want to do is I want to reconcile the ledger entries because this is one of my control accounts. Now, this is for simple reconciliation. So in a simple reconciliation, I'm just going to choose the from and to dates. And this will present to me all the entries inside Aedon, which have a field against them, which shows unreconciled. Now, you can also do this in Excel for more complicated reconciliations when you want to use all those colors and filters and pivot tables and everything else that Excel has. But this is for a simple reconciliation. I want to find out why this account doesn't reconcile. So let's go through and see if I can reconcile it. So I'm going to select all of them and try and reconcile it. And I know it doesn't reconcile because it's got a balance of 2. And I look here and I can see that the manual journal and the bank payment and the bank journal don't match. I actually overpaid the wages by £2. So I'll need to get to the bottom of that. So if I go back to the previous screen, I can uncheck those two because those aren't reconciled. I can now calculate my reconciliation. Now those do match. Mark those as reconciled. I can put a reconciliation date in for that. I think it was, sorry, I should have paid attention, but I think it was the 30th of November, 2025. And you could put as sort of a monthly reconciliation, monthly rec, whatever you want to put in there. Next, and that's now recorded. Mark them as reconciled, put the date on which they were reconciled to, and put an entry against it and finish. And now in the meantime, I need to go and figure out what went wrong with those other transactions. So we've done our monthly routines now, we've done our journals, and we've done our control accounts. Obviously on a quarterly basis, we're going to do our VAT. And these are the VAT returns. So let's just have a quick look at one of those. These look exactly like a VAT return, which shouldn't shock you, I suppose. You've got the various boxes which you know and love. This is in a draft state at the moment. When we finalize it, which we can do here, that then locks the transaction. So now all the transactions associated that are finalized, and then they can be submitted to HMRC. And that's a separate step because if you're in a group situation, you may need to consolidate. But if you want to, you can now go to that final report there. And the button now is to submit that to HMRC. This is an HMRC recognized package, so it will go straight into HMRC. I can't do that from a demo system, obviously, but it just takes you through and it will fire that straight into HMRC and you'll get the normal receipt that you would from HMRC in the standard way. So that's a VAT return. So the last thing I'd like to do is do my year-end close. The year-end close in Aedon is very straightforward. You choose the company you want to close. You can create the year-end journal. So we're going to create a year-end journal. The year-end journal will basically move all the P&L account balances into the retained earnings. So we can see here the journals we've got here. We've made a decent gain for the year, which is nice, and we can post that journal, which will then move contra all those items out and create that journal. Now, the great advantage of doing it like this is it means for certain reports where you want to see the balances by year, you would just omit this journal. So we would then post that journal and that year end is closed. So let's post the journal. And what you might also want to do is change the lock date in the system, which would prevent any further postings to the accounts after that date. So let's just set that to the 31st of March 2026. So it's coincident. And finish. And that is Aedon.Accounting. So thanks very much for watching. There's a lot more features that we haven't touched on today, but that's vanilla Aedon. Please do get in touch if you want to find out more. Would love to talk to you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.